Winds over 120 miles an hour in some places. Storm surges up to 15 feet. Record flooding. Communities are devastated.
Biden said he'd been on the phone for several hours with the governors of Georgia and North Carolina, and that he'd be traveling to the region later this week. There is a possibility that the president will ask Congress to return to Washington to pass emergency disaster relief funding, but no decision has been made on that yet. Mara Liasson, NPR News, the White House.
The U.S. says it's sending additional troops to the Middle East to help bolster Israel's air defenses against a possible attack. NPR's Greg Myrie explains the U.S. also says Israel's conducting limited ground operations inside Lebanon.
The U.S. is dispatching a few thousand troops, according to a U.S. official who put a condition of anonymity. The U.S. is sending pilots and support personnel who work on a range of U.S. warplanes, including F-16 and F-15s. These planes helped defend Israel in April when Iran fired more than 300 missiles and drones at Israel, which suffered only minor damage from the barrage. The same U.S. official confirmed a small number of Israeli forces are now in southern Lebanon, adding that more may soon follow. Israeli airstrikes against Hezbollah in Lebanon have raised the prospect that Iran might act on behalf of the Lebanese group that it's backed for decades. Greg Myrie, NPR News, Washington.
Despite continued cross-currents rippling through the economy, including a looming potential dock workers strike, Wall Street closed out the third quarter on an up note. Dow was up 17 points. The Nasdaq rose 69 points today. You're listening to NPR.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include the estate of Joan B. Kroc, whose bequest serves as an enduring investment in the future of public radio and seeks to help NPR produce programming that meets the highest standards of public service in journalism and cultural expression.
This is SDPB News. Authorities say a reported threat that led to a shelter-in-place order at 2 Sioux Falls schools is not credible. Police say it began around noon today with a call from a well-being check on the east side of town. When officers learned the subject could be armed, nearby Washington High School and Canceled Elementary moved to shelter in place. As the schools were sheltered, police received a separate report about an active shooter inside Washington High. Several officers responded and determined that was not a credible threat. Police say they're still looking for the initial subject, but they don't believe they're a threat. Authorities say there are extra officers in the area through the afternoon out of, quote, an abundance of caution. The South Dakota Public Utilities Commission rejects multiple co-op groups from intervening in the electric docket. Multiple energy companies are trying to, quote, throw their hat in the ring on who should supply Railwood Data Center with electricity. PUC commissioners chose to honor their staff's recommendation of sticking with the original request from Montana Dakota Utilities. Logan Schovenbauer is a PUC staff attorney.
Staff submitted a response in which we support the intervention of Leola Data Center, but oppose the interventions of FEM, East River, and Basin Electric. With all due respect to these parties, the rules require that they have an interest that would be bound and affected by the outcome of this docket, and there simply isn't one.
Chrissy Fegan is the chairperson of the PUC. She says that staff attorneys are looking out for ratepayers.
I do believe there is somebody that needs to look out in 028, and that's for the ratepayers. And so I know staff will do their due diligence in making sure the voice of the ratepayers is heard in the docket that we have in front of us today.
All commissioners agreed with staff recommendations and denied intervention by other electric parties. The next PUC meeting is scheduled for October. Project 3437 runners have raised over $300,000 for the Helpline Center in this year's run across the state. The campaign involves a dozen volunteers running 437 miles across
From NPR News, this is All Things Considered. I'm Elsa Chang in Culver City, California.
And I'm Ari Shapiro at the edge of Lake Michigan in Milwaukee with WUWM reporter Mayan Silver. Good early morning. The sun's not even up yet, and we're standing out here in the rain. Tell us where we are and why we're here.
We are standing right near Bradford Beach on Milwaukee's lakefront.
It's an actual beach.
It's an actual beach. People play volleyball here. They hang out. You've got this hill going up that way, and you hit right upon North Avenue.
North Avenue, this 15-mile road that runs east to west west all the way through Milwaukee and its many different kinds of neighborhoods.
Yes, it cuts through all the demographics. I mean, here's the thing about Wisconsin is it's such a crucial swing state, and North Avenue basically cuts through every different type of neighborhood. You've got urban, suburban, rich, poor, racially segregated, racially diverse. You've got all the different neighborhoods, and you can find all those groups on North Avenue.
The thing that stands out to me about Wisconsin is that it is a state of nearly 6 million people where the presidential vote has often been decided by as little as 20,000 votes, which means it's not one demographic group that could make the difference.
It's all of them.
It's all of them.
Yes.
So we're going to cover the 15 miles of North Avenue today and tomorrow, talking with as many voters as we can to try to get that whole sweep.
And the thing is, you know, people say, as goes North Avenue, so goes Wisconsin.
And the reason we're here at the water's edge before dawn on this rainy morning is because some crazy runners meet up here. Rain, sleet, snow, heat, and they have agreed to talk to us about politics.
Who loves running?
We love running!
Good morning!
Good morning!
Y'all good?
Oh, yeah!
Woo! Let's go!
One of the organizers of the OMG running group is 64-year-old Patrick Beezer. And he says when this crew runs along the lake before dawn, they usually don't talk politics.
I would say our particular group here, the Milwaukee Running Group, has a more liberal lean, and so we agree with each other mostly, so there's not a lot to discuss.
Somebody's just run up, soaking wet, with black and white cow shorts. You want to introduce yourself? Come under the awning.
Sure.
Hi, my name is Hans Goldenberg. I'm 34 years old, and I live in downtown Milwaukee.
And his political views are different from the rest of the group.
I don't know. I may or may not vote.
You're the rare undecided may or may not vote.
I don't like either candidate, to be completely honest.
He wants lower taxes and less crime. He thinks Republicans would do a better job of addressing that. But he's also more socially liberal.
Because I've gone both ways in the past. I voted for Obama. You know, I feel like sometimes my vote doesn't really matter.
32-year-old Jackie Breen jumps in.
I understand that because I have felt for many, many elections for a very long time, like, who am I voting for? I don't want either.
She says her top issue is the environment, and she's a committed Harris voter. But she gets why Goldenberg is frustrated.
We're someone who actually is closer to my age, who understands that my generation is going to have debt for the rest of their lives.
I know you all have jobs to get to, and it's so helpful to just be able to hear your honest points of view. Let's get out of this rain. Where are we going next, Mayan?
I want to take you to a place called Beans and Barley. It's right up the road. It's a coffee shop, restaurant, gift shop.
I could use some caffeine. Beans and Barley first opened its doors 50 years ago.
I like to say they introduced tofu to Milwaukee. Jim Newmeyer started as a teenage dishwasher here, and now he's one of the owners.
How do you feel about the phrase hippie food?
I think it's like a perfect description, to be honest.
complicated, feels very surreal sometimes, especially being a student, you know, seeing like more money go into military than it does education and schools.
As a 20-year-old, this is the first time she's old enough to vote for president. In the Democratic primary this year, she was one of almost 50,000 people in Wisconsin to vote uninstructed, the state's version of an uncommitted vote protesting the war in Gaza. And now in the general election?
Obviously, I don't want to vote for Trump, and it's kind of tough with the next best choice being Kamala. It's like, okay, yes, she would be our first black woman president. It's hard to improve a system that like is inherently broken.
She still doesn't know what she'll do. And she says a lot of her college classmates are also on the fence.
I don't see enough of my peers voting and being registered to vote.
Like most big cities, Milwaukee is overwhelmingly Democratic. In 2020, Joe Biden got 70% of the vote in the county, while the entire state split almost exactly 50-50.
What are you doing? Wisconsin by less than 1%, roughly the same margin Trump won by 4 years earlier. So any weakness in the urban Democratic base here could be a problem for Harris.
All right, Mayan, let's keep heading west on North Avenue. What's our next stop?
We're going a couple miles down to a place called Bronzeville. It's a historically black neighborhood. It's an arts district. It's